केस मैटर, रिलीविंग मैटर, फर्स्ट टाइम मैटर, अवार्ड कंपना में हुआ है और कंसेंट
कौन सा केस है?
फर्स्ट अवार्ड मैटर
कहाँ है? लिस्ट में है?
लिस्ट में
तो इनको दीजिए ना, अब फिर लिस्ट हो जाएगा केस। कौन से साल का है?
ये है 23
दे दीजिए, लिस्ट कर दीजिए इनका केस हो जाएगा।
From date this case item 11, second appeal 293 of 2017.
Yes? So you have to argue, you argue.
Yes, sir.
So,
First, I would like to refer to the Transfer of Property Act, Section 107.
yes.
Which it says, lease how many? A lease of immovable property from year to year, or from any term exceeding 1 year, or reserving a yearly rent, can be made only by a registered instrument. Meaning thereby that these three conditions of a lease can be done when the lease is a registered lease, which is there in this case. It also says that if there is
Three conditions means what are three conditions?
these three conditions relate to that
A,
a lease of immovable property from year to year,
immovable,
like for month, for say for example 1 year,
year to year.
year to year. The next condition is for a term exceeding 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 100 years, as we have seen in different cases.
And C,
In our case, it was for 28 years.
and C.
And the third is or reserving a yearly rent.
Year to year means every year.
Every year the lease has to be updated, because any lease less than any lease or tenancy less than 1 year, that can be done without it being a registered instrument.
So what
and
do
that
you-
usually happens.
For why do you need to place this?
Why I need to place this is because it also provides for a benefit of payment of yearly lease, or a lease for more than 1 year, it has to be a registered instrument. Meaning thereby, if for example, if there is a situation wherein there is a payment of yearly rent, meaning thereby that I need to pay for the rent only once a year.
Yearly rent.
If that is the case, in that situation, the Rent Control Act, which says that if you have not made payment of 2 months, then you can be evicted, that becomes nullity. Because it says that
Here there is a clear provision of payment of monthly rent in your lease.
yes,
So why do you need to go to some other this provision
why
at all?
what I am trying to indicate from this is that there is an additional substantial question of law which says that the coming of Rent Control Act will make all other acts or contracts redundant. That is the question of law. Because
No, you see, we have to see it from the facts of a particular case.
Yes.
There is a registered deed for 28 years.
Yes.
There is a clause for payment of monthly rent.
Monthly rent.
Right?
Yes.
Now you tell us that why do we need to go into all
the
this?
substantial question of law mechanism. Whether the learned court has failed to appreciate that the Rent Control Act, being a special legislation, would prevail over the lease agreement. If the Rent Control Act, let us for one moment forget that there is a monthly rent in this situation. If the Rent Control Act says that if there can be eviction based on a provision that 2 months rent is not being paid, in that situation one can be evicted from the tenancy. If that provision of law is allowed to prevail, in that situation 107 would become redundant.
Does the Rent Control Act says that it is only it is applicable only for those cases where the tenancy is less than 1 year?
Rent Control Act 107 is not applicable for a tenancy lesser than 1 year. It says,
Does the rent control say that it is applicable only for those tenancy which are less than 1
not
year?
at all, not at all.
So
Not at
both
all.
the things have to be read together.
It has exactly my point, Your Ladyship, that both of these has to be read together. It cannot be read individually and said that since there is a provision of non-payment of rent and eviction of-
Does the Transfer of Property Act section 107 say that even if a person is defaulted in payment of rent, then under such circumstances the tenancy will continue till the period
Not
it is
at all,
over?
not at all, not at all. That is also what has been the provision of law in several Supreme Court judgments which we have given here. It says that both of these have to be read together, and it also goes on to say that an eviction can be done based on the point that it will be done with effect of 11 of eviction rent control act only, but only to that extent that it also has to be, the clause also has to be there in the lease agreement. That has been the provision of law, which is why I was trying to refer to. The ladyship may kindly refer to that
Here
judgment.
the lease agreement is silent.
Here the lease agreement is said that one cannot be evicted for 4 months.
The lease agreement says that for 4 months a person will not be a defaulter.
Defaulter, and thereafter it also goes on to say that he cannot be evicted for 4 months during the period of 4 months. That has also been because I mean kindly refer
But
to
here in perpetuity the rent has not been paid.
but that is not their case. Their case is that the cause of action arose first, they say, in October. Thereafter, in the appeal, wherein the court decided that since there is a protection of 4 months, therefore it could not have been, the cause of action could not have been October, since we have been given a security of 4 months.
The specific cases after September, no rent was paid. Is there a specific case?
But they say,
No rent was paid after September.
But
Even